So the first emotion that we're gonna draw is shyness, okay? And then the next one is, okay, I feel like I'm on a reality show. Despair, sadness, hashtag 2020. Okay, cool. And then last but not least, okay, happiness. These are the emotions that we will draw today. And as I mentioned, the first step is to home in on shape language. So just a definition of what shape language is. Shape language is distilling body language into simple geometric shapes. And so for example, if we begin with the square could be related to words such as rest. The shape of the square could be associated with stability, groundedness. That's pretty good, you know. If you think of the shape of the square, it's not going anywhere. The next shape is a triangle. The triangle is really similar to the square in the sense that they share a lot of these descriptors. But another word that I want to add for a triangle is the word power. The cool thing about the triangle is if you invert it, then all of a sudden, all of these words become subverted. So instead of it being a stable object, so if we put the triangle, you know, on its point, it all of a sudden becomes unstable, wobbly, and precarious. And then last but not least is the circle. And I think circles are pretty much cute, cuddly, kind, and I'll just say approachable. Let's begin with happiness, okay? So we're going to start with a triangle. And remember, you know, as I mentioned earlier, this kind of triangle that I've just drawn feels more stable, less precarious, less wobbly, because it's actually resting on the horizontal side of the shape. The next emotion, let's make it shyness, okay? So shyness would be the next one. I'm gonna do an ovular form, and despair is gonna be the last one, or sadness. I'm going to use a triangle, not a square, because as I mentioned, if you invert the triangle, you can create more of an unstable feeling, and I feel like despair is definitely not stable. So let's do that. Cool. I add layers in between my drawings. So there's a second layer, I'm just gonna fill it with white. I'm gonna turn down the opacity to about 50–60%. So now we're moving beyond shape language and we're going into this space called gestures. So we're gonna switch it up a little bit. I'm gonna put my stylus down. I'm gonna use my fingers because this is supposed to be a fun tutorial. We're gonna switch colors. I'm just gonna use a blue one, a teal. And we're gonna switch drawing tools. I love to use charcoal. I'm using a vine charcoal for this stage. Let's start with the triangle. I'm gonna zoom in here. Remember, the triangle represents happiness. Cool. And we're just gonna drag our fingers around, create a gesture, which will sort of take to another stage, which is gonna look like happiness, okay? If we're gonna do a silhouette or a shape that alludes to shyness, if you think about shyness, you probably think about, you know, tucking your, you know, like, or lifting your shoulders up, maybe like kind of pushing away from that thing that you're really attracted to or feel shy towards. So we're gonna mimic that kind of curvature, which is why I use an ovular shape as well. So let's create the gesture kind of like that. Sadness, despair. Gesture, not stiff, keep it loose, keep it curved. Boop. Okay, there you go. Gonna pick up our stylus, create a new onion layer, white fill, turn down the opacity so we can still see the shape and the gesture beneath it. And now we're gonna start drawing. Again, I am using a dry ink brush. So here is the head. Think about directionality. It's kind of swooshing downwards here. That's the spine. After the spine, before I place the torso and the pelvis, I also like to consider the shoulders and the hips, because that's really where a lot of the dynamism is expressed. And oftentimes I like to put them in sort of opposite angles because it creates, again, a more dynamic gesture. So you can probably begin to see that this blob is beginning to look as though they are skipping or jumping or even running. Hopefully you can see how this particular method of working, starting from simple and going more complex or becoming more complex, can help to inform the personality of whatever character you're drawing. So again, starting from what I'd said, the head, plotting that in, directionality, the curvature of the spine, plotting in the shoulders and then the pelvis, blocking in the rib cage, blocking in the pelvis. And then maybe in terms of arm expression, because this person is shy, they're probably not gonna wanna take up so much space. So let's put the arms behind the torso and then raise the shoulders up. So here is an example, you know, again, more of a wireframe drawing. And then last but not least, I'm just gonna write it, okay? I'm not even gonna say it, we all know this, we've all felt it, is despair, okay? So think despair, head leaning forward, neck almost horizontal. Let's bring the spine down, forward, leaning, okay? It's really heavy, life is heavy. Plot in the shoulders, again, the pelvis at an opposite angle. Plot in the rib cage, torso, plot in the pelvis again. I'm gonna do something interesting here. I'm actually going to sort of elongate the character because I feel as though that'll help sort of make the feeling, enhance that feeling of sadness. And I'll do that in the legs, curvature of the back. You know, having feelings of desperation, maybe you're dragging your feet. So let's do that. Maybe this person's trying to walk, but man, it is so hard. It is really, really, really hard. Shoulders are slack. Oh my gosh, what is this weight? But in any case, thank you so much for being here. Please take my course. I hope you have a great time. I hope you learned something. If you already came into this course knowing how to draw characters, I hope I can add to the knowledge that you already have. So thank you so much. Be well, stay safe.